Hi everyone, this is Dr. Ernesto from Attaboy Cowboy, and in today's video I want to talk about why investing in real estate in California is hands down one of the best places you can invest in real estate. It all boils down to one big thing, Prop 13. This tax law in California limits the amount of property taxes you can pay every year. Basically caps your annual tax increase to about 1% of the property's assessed value, which is basically the amount that you paid at the time of purchase. And the assessed value can only increase by a maximum of 2% a year, regardless of the changes in the market value. So that is huge. And let me put that into perspective. Let me give you an example, okay? Recently I was on a flight and I was in New York and I was talking to the flight attendant, and the gentleman was elderly. He was actually like in the 70s. We sat in the back of the plane and we were talking about real estate and about taxes and all this stuff. And this guy just happened to live in New York. And he told me that his parents just left him this awesome house. It sounded like it was a mansion. It was like 7 bedrooms. It was a really nice neighborhood. And he told me that he basically worked just to pay the taxes. He told me his take-home pay from being a flight attendant was about $70,000 a year. And he said his property taxes were about $60,000 a year. So I said, wow, so how do you live? He said he had other jobs. He had some investments. He had a 401k. He basically lived off all that money. And I thought, wow, $60,000 a year? That's a lot. And he said, yeah, that's because in California, you guys have Prop 13. That's why you always hear about people in New York retiring and then moving to Florida, because the real estate's a lot cheaper and they just kind of go over there and they just stay till they pass away or whatever, because New York is just too expensive. And a lot of states in the United States, the real estate taxes are not capped. So in a practical sense, I'm going to tell you how that affected my parents, and affects me and affects pretty much everybody else over here. My parents bought their house in the 1970s, in about 1973. They paid $33,000 for their house, and today, 2024, their house is worth about $800,000 or $900,000. But instead of paying property taxes on the $800,000 or $900,000, which is what they should be paying, or they would be paying in New York or most other states, they're still paying taxes on the base rate of the $33,000. Now again, that's went up, but only by 2% a year. So if you do the math, that's about $600 approximately that they allow the property value to increase a year. That's like nothing. So 33,600, 34,620, etc. It just goes up a little bit. So even though it's been like 40 years, I pay the property taxes, they're still paying just over $2,000 a year in property taxes. That's crazy. If they were to buy that house right now, they would be paying somewhere around $15,000 to $20,000 a year in property taxes. That's why a lot of elderly people in California are able to afford to stay in their home, because their property taxes are capped. My dad makes about $1,500 a month from Social Security. So if he were to pay what he's supposed to be paying, $15,000, $20,000 a year for property taxes, he only makes about $18,000 a year in Social Security benefits. So it would completely wipe out all of his benefits. He would have no money to eat, pay utilities, pay for gas, pay for medicines. I mean, basically do anything, buy clothes or anything. He would be completely wiped out. But because California passed Prop 13, he has about $15,000 left to survive on. That's basically what he lives on. And that goes for millions of people living in California that own real estate. So that, in my opinion, is one of the coolest things about buying real estate in California. As an investor, I talk to other investors at expos and property owners and real estate developers, and they tell me, dude, there's all these, rules and laws, and that are not necessarily the best for for real estate investors, but there's things that are, and this is a huge benefit. I mean, I have friends that own real estate and they're like, I kind of want to move, or I want to sell my building and buy another one because my building tripled in price and now I can afford to buy something in a better neighborhood. But why? If you do that, your property taxes are going to go through the roof. And that benefit applies to everything, like all different types of real estate that you own, like rental properties and your single family home, vacation homes. They all have those property tax caps. So it really means a lot. I mean, I was just talking to my friend. He owns about 8 buildings. He pays about $30,000 a year in property taxes, but he calculated how much he would have to actually pay if they were assessed at their real-time market value, what they currently worth. He said he'd be paying about $180,000 $190,000. So think about that, $160,000. That's a lot. And he's telling me that off the rents, he's cash flowing about $250,000, which is great. He's making $250,000. He can live off that. But if he were paying another $160,000 in property taxes, he'd only be making $90,000. And he said, dude, if all I was making was $90,000, I wouldn't even be a landlord. I would get out of it. It's not worth the hassle for $90,000 for him, because he has the opportunity to work in other stuff that pays him more. But $250,000 is about what he would make in his job. So he does a cost benefit analysis. He's okay, I'll stay in real estate. I'll keep being a landlord. I'll unclog toilets and trash and all this other stuff. But that's a huge benefit. So if you're looking at investing, or if you're someone that already owns real estate in California, think about that. Before you think about selling or hopping around houses, think about the repercussions of the property tax and how you're going to be reassessed on the current market value of the new property you buy. That's a huge benefit. So a lot of times people don't want to move. In my case, I haven't, just because of that very reason. So thank you for watching. And from Los Angeles, California, I'm Dr. Ernesto. Thank you. Goodbye.